Hey guys, what's up? It's Coming for the Win, and we're back for another edition of Diablo 3. Today on the channel, we are taking a look at the raiment of the Jade Harvester set armor for the Witchdoctor. This is pretty much the only high-tier armor you could potentially use for the Witchdoctor outside of Mundanugo. Alright, raiment of the Jade Harvester. 2-piece bonus. When Haunt lands on an enemy already afflicted by Haunt, it instantly deals 3,500 seconds worth of Haunt damage. 4-piece Soul Harvest gains the effect of every ruin and has its cooldown reduced by 1 second every time you cast Haunt or Locus Swarm. 6-piece bonus. Soul Harvest reduces damage taken by 50% for 12 seconds and consumes your damage over time effects on enemies, instantly dealing 10,000 seconds worth of damage. Alright, that's a lot to take in. To help with this build, we are going to be using Captain Crimson, because it goes with everything. 2-piece, 6,000 life per second, reduces cooldown on all skills by 20%, reduces all resource costs by 20%. 3-piece, damage dealt is increased by your percentage of cooldown reduction. Damage is reduced by cooldown reduction. We're going to be using Soul Harvester and Henry's Prequisition for our weapons. We're going to be using Ring of Emptiness to power up not only our Haunt, but our Locus Swarm. So that's good. We can increase our damage with this, so that's always helpful. We're going to be using, on top of the Ring of Emptiness, the Compass Rose and Traveler's Pledge in conjunction with each other. 2-piece bonus, while moving damage is reduced by up to 50%, while standing still damage is increased to 100%. We're going to use Lacumba's Ornament, that way we can be a little bit more tanky. And like I said before, Sacred Harvester, Soul Harvest has 10 stacks. For the skills, Parando, Haunt, Resentful Spirit, Spirit Walk, Jaunt, Soul Harvest, Vengeful Spirit, Horrify, Locus Swarm, Deceased Swarm. Here's the passives: Spirit Vessel, Creeping Death, Confidence Ritual, and Grave Injustice. Echoing Fury, Quinzel Cult, and Ring of Royal Grandeur in the Kanai's Cube. If you need, there will be a link in the description to this exact build. Don't worry, I got you covered. Here is what the Paragon should look like for you if you're a non-seasonal character. If you're a seasonal character, it's going to be a little bit different from that. For the follower recommendation, Broken Crown, Flavor of Time, Nemesis Bracers. Everything else is pretty much kind of throwaway. It's nice to have those abilities, but they don't do anything for you in terms of longevity or usefulness. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of emanate abilities for the follower that works very well outside of Flavor of Time, Nemesis Bracers, and the Broken Crown. It's unfortunate, but like that's why I never even made the follower guide that you guys asked for, because so only 3 things really are the most beneficial. Everything else is like, it's okay. Like the set armor ones you get, it's good for Nephilim Rift grinding, but it does nothing for you in Greater Rift. Alright, so in order to use this armor, this is basically what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to look for a target, then you're going to want to use your Soul Harvest, try to get your 10 stacks as fast as possible, and then you're going to follow these damage rotations. You're going to go Haunt, Locus Swarm, Soul Harvest. Haunt, Locus Swarm, Horrify, Soul Harvest. Again, you want to go Haunt, Locus Swarm, Horrify, Soul Harvest. Those are the damage rotations that you're going to need. Every so often, if you see you're going to take an unnecessary death, or you're taking a lot of damage, use your Spirit Walk, because it will put you in the uniform land for a couple of seconds, so you'll be a little bit invulnerable. For enemies that are far away, just go Haunt on them. But always make sure that you are attacking with your Soul Harvest. So again, because I know that this is a very complex armor with a lot of complex damage rotations, and if you don't follow the complexities, this is not going to work that well for you. You have to do it in this manner. Haunt, Locus Swarm, Soul, Horrify, Soul Harvest. Again, Haunt, Locus Swarm, Horrify, Soul Harvest. Every so often, you will want to cast a Pure Rondo. The Pure Rondos are really here to kind of bunch enemies up together for you, so that you can get an easy 10 stacks of Soul Harvest. But that is basically what the purpose of every skill is on this set. The most damage really is coming from your Soul Harvest, and the Haunt and the Locus Swarms are just powering up that Soul Harvest, so you're just kind of ripping the souls from everything and doing the damage, which is why we had our build this way. Now, in terms of optimization, what should you be doing with this particular armor? Well, my recommendation would be on the helm, I would recommend crit hit chance 6.0%. On the gloves, I would recommend crit hit damage 50%, crit hit chance 6.0%, and attack speed at least 8.0%. All 3 of those particular stats will have a dealing a lot more damage in general, which I think is very important to have. Subsequently, the next thing for optimization that I would recommend is that since we are using the Captain Crimson set, to get 8.0% cooldown reduction wherever possible. Obviously, the more cooldown reduction you have based on the free piece bonus, the more damage output you will be able to do with this particular armor, which is very important because there's a lot of damage rotations that go into this. So definitely do that. Subsequently, get resource cost reduction where possible. Again, it plays into the Captain Crimson 3-piece bonus. The more cost reduction you have, the more damage is reduced to you, which is kind of very important because sometimes with the Witchdoctor you can be potentially a little squishy. Then from there, what would you want to do? I would recommend powering up your Locus Swarm 15% wherever possible. I would also recommend powering up your Haunt to 15% wherever possible. Obviously, you also want to get the best amount of intelligence possible on every piece of your gear so you can do more damage that way. Like I say always when it comes to the Diablo 3 optimization in terms of armors, you know, it's RNG. You're at the mercy of RNG. Sometimes you might be able to get the rolls that you need perfectly and everything works out. Sometimes you don't get the rolls. Sometimes you have to keep at it. This is a marathon. This is not a race by any stretch of the word. So things are, you know, going to take a while to get the perfect pieces of gear. You just try to work towards it and swap out when possible. Obviously, also when it comes to your gear, you want to get ancient legendary pieces or primal ancient legendary pieces when possible. That way you can augment your armor. Augmenting your armor with legendary gems, for those of you who don't know, I usually recommend that if you're going to augment armor pieces, that you do so at like minimum level 80. Because usually with most of these set armors, if you have proper optimization without augmentation, you can push usually up to Greater Rift 75 and even 80 somewhat comfortably. Usually you need level 100 gems in particular to be able to push really Greater Rifts 130, 135-ish, which is questionable in regards to what you could do particularly with this armor since it's not necessarily S tier, but generally high tier considering there's not a lot of great options for the Witchdoctor. So, you know, with that being said, this is a good push build. This is not a speed farming build. So you're never going to be able to speed through Greater Rifts very fast. So if you're looking like for super fast clear times on leaderboard placement, Jade Harvester for Witchdoctor is not the way to go. You want to go with Munjanugu's Regalia, which is a armor that I have already covered for Season 24 on the channel. It is available in the playlist for Diablo 3. Definitely make sure to check that out if you want an S tier, super fast, speedy, speed build, speed farm type of armor set. This is good for push building. Push building, for those of you who might not be familiar with the terminology, is basically that you're just trying to go up the levels of Greater Rift, and you don't care about the clear time as long as you can actually beat the clear time. With that being said, though, in terms of tiers for the Witchdoctor, Munjanugu Regalia is S tier. I would put Jade Harvester. These are my personal tier lists, so don't like lynch me and say, "Oh no, this website says this or not." It's my personal experience. Munjanugu is like the end all to be all for the Witchdoctor. It's S tier. Nothing is really comes close to it. Jade Harvester is a very good push build. I don't think I would go on a limb and say it's S tier. I would say, because it requires a lot of complex things, and sometimes on higher Greater Rifts, it's hard to get off these type of damage rotations. But I would put it at, like, high tier. Then, after that, I would put the Spirit of Iraq in mid tier. Then, borderline mid tier to low tier, I would put the Helltooth armor, with the Zombie Bears build in particular, at, like, bottom mid to upper low tier. There's a Greater Rift 60, 5 minute and 51 second clear time. You're not going to get super fast with this, it pushes, so keep that in mind. But that's very good for this particular armor build. Alright, so same strategy as before. In case you need a refresher, you want to bunch up some enemies, use Pure Rondo, go Soul Harvest, then go Haunt, Locus Swarm, Horrify, Soul Harvest. Again, those are the damage rotations. So if you, in case you missed it, Pure Rondo to bunch things up, you want to go Soul Harvest, Haunt, Locus Swarm, Horrify, do those damage rotations, and you should be perfectly okay. Those are things to do. Obviously, with this armor, you want to maintain your 10 stacks of Soul Harvest as much as possible. One of the good things, particularly with Haunt, the way we're using it, is that it passes over to our targets, which means you can kind of keep things going, and thanks to the Ring of Emptiness and other things that we're using in conjunction, you always want to remember to keep the damage rotations going. Hirando. And then you go Haunt, Locus Swarm, Horrify, or you could just go Horrify and then into those rotations, but you need to do these particular things to be able to do damage. Always make sure that really Soul Harvest is doing the damage. Everything else is just helping augment that type of damage for it, which I think is kind of cool. It's a nice, interesting playstyle. It's a little bit more complex, so obviously this is not the most newbie-friendly armor to play with in Diablo 3, so if you're a newer player, maybe I'd recommend Mundanugu. It's a little easier to kind of grasp the concept and nuances for. Getting back to the tier list, like I said, it's Mundanugu. Then I would say you would go with Raiment the Jade Harvester. Then after that, I would recommend Spirit of Iraq, which is Season 24 starter build, which is available in the playlist. Then from there, it's Helltooth, and then the last one is Zumanisa. Don't use Zumanisa. Zumanisa is terrible. I'm actually dreading when I have to revisit that particular armor in this upcoming season of Diablo 3, just because it's the worst armor that needs like what happened to Ina, as well as Firebird, to be able to be even considered viable. At least because right now in its current state, it is F tier. It's probably one of the worst armors in the game. I'm sorry to anybody who plays Zumanisa, because it's terrible. It's not worth it. So if you're playing Spirit of Iraq and you want to swap out, because I do know that Spirit of Iraq has performance issues on specifically high tiers, and let's say you didn't get the Mundanugu set, but this one dropped for you, this is pretty good. Again, it won't get you the highest leaderboard placement, but it'll get you pretty high up there in terms of pushing if you fully optimize. Fully optimize again, all pieces Ancient Legendary or Primal Ancient Legendary with the proper augmentations of gems that are at least level 100, and that you put cooldown reduction wherever possible, cost reduction, you powered up your Locus Swarm and your Haunt in particular to do more damage. You do all these things in particular all together, you should be able to get very high leaderboard place. And I put this armor really would do, in a newer player's hand, you're probably going to do Greater Rift 125 to 130 max out before you kind of run into a wall and can't take it further. A more skilled player that can understand the damage rotation, has like perfect timing and everything, and again, it's also very dependent on the dungeon layout as well that you get in the game, because sometimes you run into a crap dungeon that'll just ruin a run. Case in point, this is not necessarily the best dungeon to get for this particular armor in terms of just speeding it, but you know what, basically, you know, in a more skilled player, they might be able to do 135 plus. I don't really see anybody doing 150 with this particular armor, just because it doesn't have as great set bonuses and damage modifiers from those set bonuses to overperform. You know, in a group of 4, if you're rocking this, and if you're rocking S tier armors, and they know what they're doing, and you're all, you know, working in tandem and playing effectively, you could, in theory, it's only a theory, clear a Greater Rift 150 in a group of 4. You have a better chance in a group than I think you do solo. But if you can't, it's possible to do it solo. It just requires a lot of time investment, a lot of optimization, a lot of augmentation, and a lot of skill learning the damage rotations. Again, like, it's Pirando to bunch things up. Soul Harvest, Haunt, Locus Swarm, Horrify, Soul Harvest. Just keep doing that particular cycle of rotations, especially as you get higher up in the Greater Rifts, and you know, you learn to master those particular damage rotation, and you should, in theory, be able to do what you see here and be able to perform significantly well. I don't know if it'll get you to Greater Rift 150, but it's possible. It's just going to be a bit more difficult than our particular armors. So again, as you see here, we're going to bunch things up. Soul Harvest. Okay, Soul Harvest. Locus Swarm. Some things will pop also, just because, you know what, you're getting the buffs from Soul Harvest. So don't stress out if, like, something will Haunt automatically dies before you can Locus Swarm. That's just part of the armor. Now, in terms of Diablo 3 and its future on the channel in September, because I know people have been asking quite a bit, and I know not everybody watches every single video. As ironic as that sounds, that I do put out, because I understand some people make their way here from their channels and everything in suggestion. In terms of Diablo 3 in September, as most of us know, Diablo 2 Resurrected is supposed to come out December 23rd. Again, hold that thought for a second so I can show you Rift Guardian is going to be very simple damage rotations again. Soul Harvest, Locus Swarm, Haunt, Horrify, and then rinse, recycle, repeat, or lava, rinse, repeat, however you want to call it, and pretty much that's how you take it out. Getting back to the floor on Diablo 2 Resurrected, it's slated to be released on September 23rd. I don't know if that's still going to be the case, considering all the stuff that's going on in Blizzard with regards to the lawsuit and the walkouts that the employees have done, and various other things. I'm not going to touch too much on the subject. It's a terrible thing, irreprehensible in my belief. But again, I am a channel that's always been heavily focused on Diablo content, and that's what my viewers come for. And I'm trying to separate the two issues, because I feel like they're going to get prosecuted to the proper extent of the law. So I'll let the law handle it. I don't really feel like boycotts do too much anyway. I'm not discrediting what's going on, but it's like boycotts are kind of useless, because people boycotted Blizzard in the past for the support Hong Kong thing. Remember, people were like anti-Blizzard for a whole like 3 weeks, and then like when they got news about Overwatch 2 and Overwatch skins came out and other things, they're like, everybody loved Blizzard again. So I have a feeling it's going to be one of those particular situations in regards to everything that's currently going on with Blizzard. I'm not, again, discrediting anything that's been going on in regards to the stuff with Blizzard. That's terrible. But getting back to my thought, assuming that we still have the same timeline for Diablo 2's release, the plan on the channel is, in the beginning, I'm going to be doing 2 Diablo 2 videos a week. Then I'm going to be doing a Diablo 3 video once a week. Obviously, with the Diablo 2 videos in the beginning, they're going to be more general first impressions, because it's going to be kind of hard to grind out, guides and everything of the sort, and have N-tier armors. Because, your boy's got a life and does other things besides Diablo all day long and other things. I know it's a shock, right? Content creators actually have a life outside of creating content and playing games, right? I know, it's shocking. We even have girlfriends sometimes, I know, right? But, with that being said, that's the plan. Obviously, I'm also looking to see what's going to go on in regards to Diablo 3 Season 25, if we are, in fact, going to get a Season 25. If we get Season 25, I will continue to support the seasons and cover guides. It's not going to be 3 times a week. It'll probably be 1 video a week. I'll probably only cover like the starter sets and something, unless major changes go on. It also depends on the viewers. If you guys prefer that I continue to do Diablo 3 content and cover it aggressively, or you prefer that I do Diablo 2 Resurrected content more so, because that's more of what you're interested in seeing, definitely I will do that. Obviously, you can always leave your thoughts in the comments in regards to that. And, obviously without you, the viewers, who I always thank for supporting the channel for so long, watching the videos, dropping the likes, leaving comments, subbing, everything of the sort. Always thank my supporters. Love these guys much for everything that you've done to help the channel grow big time. You guys are the real MVPs. Without yous, I am nothing. So keep that in mind. Big thing. But yeah, obviously if you want to see more Diablo 2 Resurrected, we'll do that. Again, up in the air. Might get it on the Switch. Might get it on PC. Still haven't decided. I got some time to still decide during, before it gets released. Subsequently, also, let's say Diablo 3 does not get a Season 25, which I'm kind of inclined to believe that it's been out already, Diablo 3, for 10 years on 2022. So, with that being said, I just don't see them supporting this past that, because I'm pretty sure they're going to want to kind of streamline everybody to Diablo 2 Resurrected so that they can make money. Because if people just stayed on Diablo 3 and Diablo 2 sold poorly, they're not going to make any money off of that. So I have a feeling that Season 24 might be the last, and then they segue us into Diablo 2. But if that actually turns out to be the case, which is my hunch, what I will do is I will make final builds for every armor that we have covered on this channel. Those will be like my final builds and final thoughts for every armor. I know it's bittersweet to think that we might be coming towards the end of Diablo 3 content on the channel, but I mean, in the plus side, we'll be moving on to Diablo 2. And then after Diablo 2, we'll be moving on to Diablo 4 when eventually it comes out somewhere down the line. You know, maybe 10 years from now, the way they work. You know, heck, when Windows 11 comes out, I'd give Diablo Immortal a try, too, because I could run it on my PC, assuming that what I'm reading about Windows 11 is actually the case. So, you know, it might be the end for one journey for Diablo, but it's obviously it's going to continue in some shape or form on the channel and the many subsequent games that can potentially, are potentially going to be released. But, you know, I'll do the final builds and everything in Final Thoughts, and we'll move on like the good chaps that we are. Because, you know, so there's that. Okay, again, in case you're, like, skipping through the damage rotations in this particular armor, to be able to do these significant things is Soul Harvest, Locus Swarm, Haunt. Or you could go Soul Harvest, Haunt, Locus Swarm, Horrify, Soul Harvest. You know, you pretty much want to go laver, rinse, repeat. Obviously, when you use your Haunt and your Locus Swarm, and then you go Soul Harvest, when you already have 10 stacks, you're going to pop. Obviously, again, I cannot stress this enough, because I know somebody will come in the comments, and then it's going to be that nilly-billy that's going to say, hey, this armor doesn't work, and it sucks, and it's not right. You have to follow the damage rotations, and you got to maintain your 10 stacks. And also, it's like, well, did you use your Ring of Royal Grandeur in the Kadai's Cube? Did you put cooldown reduction for your Captain Crimson's pieces, you know, to get their set poses? So on and so forth. And again, if you need a guide, I will gladly link you to one in the description for Icy Veins. A very good resource for Diablo 3. Most of the builds I always feature come from Icy Veins. Now, if you'd like to share your own Raiment of the Jade Harvester build, you can do so in the comments. I ask two things of you guys when you do stuff like that in the comments. Number one, please do not link to other content creators' work, as that is kind of a big no-no, and I kind of frown upon that. You know what, I do these videos, I kind of pretty much take these builds and work with them on my own. And that's kind of like advertising a different content creator. Like, if you're on my channel, you're on my channel to watch me, not somebody else, right? Unless we're doing collaborative video. The second thing that I ask is that you do not link to max GG rolls. Again, you know, 98% of the stuff that's on there is from our content creators, and again, it goes back to the whole advertising. If you have your own builds and stuff, feel free to share them in the comments, but don't link to max GG rolls, and do not link to our content creators' videos and so on and so forth. Big no-no. That's the only thing that I ask. Okay, we're coming up at the end of this Greater Rift, and this will be the last one we're doing. Again, this is a Greater Rift 80, which is Tournament 16 plus difficulty. You saw we never took deaths because we were retained. For the Rift Guardian, same strategy as before. We have to maintain those 10 stacks of Soul Harvest. We're going to go Haunt, Locus Swarm, Soul Harvest. Keep in mind that we'll do accumulative damage thanks to the Bane of Stricken, Bane of the Trap, and Goak of Swiftness. Those are the ones that we are using on this particular set. So that gives you more value. So there it is. I pretty much one-shot them. It's a very good push build, like I say. It's just not going to do you super fast clear times on Greater Rifts, and you might not get the highest leaderboard placement. It might be different depending, but usually Mundanuga is the one that's going to dominate in terms of the Witchdoctor. Obviously, there's other armors that just dominate in general, like Gears of Dreadlands, Whirlwind Barbarian. Those things are always on the top of leaderboard placement. Sometimes you get lucky and you see like a Pestilence, but I've never been a big fan of Pestilence, but we'll talk about it more. Alright, that was a Greater Rift 80, 6-minute clear time. Better optimization, probably could get it down to about 4 minutes. Again, it's a slow push build. It's not going to do super fast clear times. Alright, let's evaluate some loot, and then I will send all you good girls and boys on your merry old way. Alright, I don't think we're going to get anything good here. When you play as much Diablo 3 as I have played over the time that I've been playing, particularly on this particular platform, I have like 1,000 hours on this game. You pretty much, minute you see silhouettes outside of obviously the rings and the necklaces, but with like the air weapons and some of the armor pieces, you kind of know already what piece you're going to get. So just looking at the silhouettes, I'm like, yeah, I know I'm going to get crap. The only time I like nowadays to see something is if I see it red, because that means obviously it's a primal ancient legendary. I would have preferred a compass rose that was ancient legendary, because I do need one of those. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. As always, a like is greatly appreciated on this video, and if you're not already subscribed to the channel, consider doing so as it helps the channel grow, and I will see you for the next Diablo 3 video. Till next time.